Good afternoon and welcome to Customizing Hawks Courses for Any Environment. Our presenter today is Kate Sharp with Hawks Learning. If you have any questions for Kate during the session, please feel free to enter those into the chat at the bottom of the Zoom screen and we will address them at the end of the talk. We will be giving away 3 $25 Amazon gift cards to attendees of this session. Be sure to click the link in the chat to enter. And on that note, I'll hand it over to Kate.
Thanks, Joanna. Hi, everyone. Quickly, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then we will get started. But as Joanna mentioned, my name is Kate Sharp and I am an educational courseware rep here at Hawks, and I'm really excited to get the opportunity to present to you all. And today we'll be talking about customizing Hawks courses for any environment. So no matter your course structure, we can find some solutions for you. But I quickly just wanted to give an overview of all of our math course offerings. So at Hawks, we do offer everything from developmental mathematics all the way up to upper level calculus and statistics with a little bit of everything in between. So here is one slide giving you an overview. We've got developmental, of course, preparation for college math, which is another lower level, different algebra titles, pre-calculus and calculus here. I will make a mention of this note at the bottom. College algebra and pre-calculus are also offered with integrated review versions. All that means is we include integrated review chapters of remedial content, and that sets the course up for a co-requisite course structure. And then continuing, here are some of our applied math titles and our statistics titles, pathways to college math, viewing life mathematically, math with applications. These are all great titles for students who maybe, excuse me, aren't going into a math field and are just fulfilling their liberal arts math requirement, or just really applications-based classes. And then we've got beginning statistics, discovering statistics and data, which is just a little bit higher level than beginning. And then we also have our discovering business statistics title, which of course will have those business applications. And several of these titles are available in the integrated review format as well. But continuing through, I do just want to talk about our support. At Hawks, support is such an important value to us. And I know you're probably thinking, yeah, every publisher says that, but we really do mean it at Hawks. We are a little bit smaller company, which allows us to really give you that family style support. We do have a phone line that you can call Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. And when you call that number, we pledge that a live person, not a robot, is going to pick up that phone within 4 rings and help you. Now, we also know that you and students might need us outside of those regular phone hours. If you do, we also offer a 24/7 live chat. The response time for that is less than 1 minute. And again, no robots at Hawks. There is a live person on the other end of that. And we do offer unlimited and free training and support for both you and your students. So you are in great hands with us. And then I'll also quickly discuss our purchasing models. So we have direct to bookstore format, direct from Hawks, or inclusive access. So direct from bookstore kind of speaks for itself. That's where you can place an order with your bookstore and then your students purchase their materials there. Your students can also purchase directly from Hawks, but with that, they have software and ebook access, but not print options. And then the inclusive access model just means that the cost of materials is included in students' tuition, and with that, we will offer access to the course content on the first day, as we do with all of these models, but again, no printed materials here with the inclusive access. But speaking of your students being able to access their materials on the first day of class, all of these models do include a free 20 days of temporary access. So no matter which way your students are purchasing or receiving their materials with us, they can access those on the first day, even if they haven't purchased their materials because they're waiting on financial aid to come through or anything like that. But all of our titles do vary in cost. We do pride ourselves on being a low-cost publisher. So if there's a title in particular you want to know the pricing info for, please let us know, and we can certainly connect with you to provide that. And then here are also some additional resources for students and instructors. These are just some of them. We have lots and lots, but on the student side, which we'll see here shortly, they will receive error-specific feedback. So if they make a mistake, we're not just going to tell them their answer is wrong, but we're going to tell them why their answer was wrong and what they did. We'll also offer step-by-step tutoring, or if it's a liberal arts course, excuse me, not liberal arts, but if it's not a math course and it's English, psychology, something like that, we'll give helpful hints, but with math, step-by-step tutoring. And then students also have the option to create practice tests to test their knowledge, and they can create as many of those as they would like and receive really detailed feedback to help them track their progress. Instructor resources, again, these are just 3 of many, but we do have chapter projects built for most, if not all, of our chapters in our titles. So that's a great opportunity for you to assign maybe extra credit or a group activity, or if you're a co-requisite structure, you could assign these chapter projects in the lab setting. Lots of options there. We'll also have PowerPoints, pre-created slide decks for the lessons. So if you'd like to use those, they're free and available to you. And then, of course, a fully built question bank as well. And then besides support, another really key feature that is close to our hearts at Hawks is mastery learning. We really believe that this works. A lot of publishers will say that they promote mastery learning, but we really do approach it in a little bit of a different way. And I'll show you exactly what I mean when we jump into the student side of the platform. But we are going to couple mastery-based learning with adaptive remediation. So that being said, let me switch my screen share and we can go straight to the student side of the platform. So right now we are in one of our homework lessons. So we don't have a ton of time, so I decided just to skip the dashboard, but so you know, the dashboard will show your students what courses they're enrolled in. They can access their grades. We do integrate with most major LMS systems, ebooks, notifications, all the stuff that you would expect to see there. But whenever your student goes to complete a homework assignment with Hawks, they will always see these 3 big buttons: learn, practice, and certify. So whether your student is in developmental math or Calc 3, it does not matter. They'll see learn, practice, certify. And the reason we do that is to keep our platform very user-friendly and straightforward. We hear students complain a lot of times that they don't like online learning because the platform is very confusing and they get lost. So just the 3 buttons every time, they always know what to expect. Learn is going to house the multimedia presentation of the textbook content. So everything that you see here in Learn is going to match what's in the physical textbook or the ebook word for word. The only differences are that Learn is only going to show your students the content for their particular lesson that they're working on. So in this case, lesson 2.1 is only 16 pages rather than pulling up the full, maybe 100-page textbook. And then it will also include some interactive components. So here's an example of that. We've got an example level video here. This is where your students can see exactly how to work out particular problem types. So in this case, it's showing them how to check solutions and equations. We also have this watch button available on all of our Learn screens. And if your students click that at any point, it will bring up the lesson level video for them. So this will give them all the key takeaways for the lesson as a whole, rather than just a particular problem type. All of our videos are short, most are under 5 minutes long, and they're closed captioned and accessible as well. If you want any more information about accessibility, we'd be happy to talk with you about that as well. But continuing through, I'd also like to talk about our customization options. So with Hawks, you do have the ability to customize all of our content, and there are a couple of different approaches you can take to that. So you do have the ability to completely hide any of our Learn screens. So if there's something that you don't want to cover, or maybe you want to teach a different method, your students don't even have to see the page. You also have the ability to keep our page here as a placeholder, but wipe our content and replace it with your own if you want to describe something differently. And then lastly, you could do what we've done here, which is to add a learn screen note. So that is indicated by this break in the page. And when you do that, the top of the screen is all of the Hawks pre-created content, just left as is. And then the bottom of the screen is whatever customizations you'd like to make. So you could make your learn screen note something really simple, such as, hey, students, make sure you know the formulas you see up top. That's going to be on your test next week. Or you could make it a little bit more complex. You could embed a video, as we've done here, link to a PowerPoint, an external resource, really up to you. My point being, you have a lot of power with these customizations to really make the course your own. And I will note, you don't have to customize anything. The great thing about Hawks is that everything is pre-built for you. So if you like it as is, you are good to go. But you do have the option if you want to customize. So after your student has been through all of the screens in the learn mode, they're comfortable with the content, they can then exit and move on to step 2, which is practice. So practice is exactly what it sounds like. Before I jump in, I'll just note learn and practice are preparatory for certify. So certify is just our fancy word for homework. This is what your students will actually be receiving a homework grade for completing. So learn and practice are not graded, but they are meant to set your students up for success here in certify. So everything that your student sees here in the practice mode will appear again in certify, but of course with different numbers, different versions of the questions. So there are a lot of things to point out here. First being the buttons at the bottom of the screen. We do have a try similar button. So if your student needs extra work with a certain question type, they can try similar pretty much all day long and they will not receive the exact same numbers twice. We have 50 plus different iterations for all of our math questions. And then let's actually solve a question here. So this one has us solving for X. So please bear with me. I'm going to try to actually answer this incorrectly. And it's going to tell your student your answer is incorrect. Please choose one of the following. Now, if this was right, the bar would just be green and say so. But our explain error feedback is something that we think really sets us apart. We know that it is so important not just to tell your student that their answer is wrong, but why it was wrong. Because just telling them that it was wrong does not really have them learning anything. So that being said, if they click explain error, we do have artificial intelligence built in to anticipate and diagnose common errors. So it's going to tell your student, here's what you were asked to do. The answer you submitted is incorrect, but here's why. It appears you added 2 to the right-hand side rather than subtracting it. Recall, here's what you should have done. So now your student knows why their answer was wrong and what they need to do differently when they go back to try it again. And then this one is actually has multiple different explanations. So if we click next page, this will also provide your students a option for solution checks, teaching them how to check their work before they even submit. So once your student receives that explain error feedback, they can go back to practice, try similar problem, and continue to work on it. I will also mention this keypad. This is available with all of the relevant symbols, functions, signs your students will need. This will expand with higher level math. So if you're seeing things missing, that will adjust based on the course. And this is just a low level math. But we also have a skip button. So once your student feels confident in one question type, they don't have to spend time on it. They can move on to something else that maybe they do need some more work on. So maybe we get to something that looks a little bit different. Your student needs some help. That's okay. They can click this tutor button, and that is going to bring up step-by-step learn and solution. So this is our step-by-step tutoring. This one is only a 2-step problem, so kind of simple, but this gets really helpful, especially when you get towards upper level math and one problem could have 10 or 11 steps to it, and your student might just be missing one little piece. So Step by step is exactly what it sounds like. It will take your student through every step of solving the equation. If they don't know the answer, they can display the step answer and click next. And now they're on step 2 of 2. And if there were more steps, it would continue on until they had solved the entire thing. Learn is also built back in, which is very popular with students because if they want to go back and review the textbook content, they don't have to exit out of their homework to pull it up. It's just seamless. And then lastly, your student can also always view the solution, but keeping with the Hawks mentality that just telling them, here's the answer is not very helpful. It's the explanation that is helpful. We are going to provide that explanation both in numbers and in words, so your students can see exactly how we got there. And this is another one where there are multiple different ways to get to the answer. So here's solution 1 of 2. If they click next, it will show them a different solution or way to check their work. So at any point during the tutor, they can go back to practice, continue trying similar, skipping, working through practice in this way. And then once they feel good, they can exit and move on to certify, which again is just our homework. But the last thing I'll mention is this send to instructor button. This is an optional feature. If you opt into it, it will link with your email address. So if your student is having issues with a question, they can click send to instructor and the platform will take a screenshot of the question that they're working on and put it in an email draft to you. So just a convenience feature for you there. But again, once your student is feeling confident and ready to try for their homework grade, they can move on to certify. There are really just 2 main things to discuss about certify. Number 1, it looks and acts pretty much exactly like the practice mode. The only real difference is that we've removed those learning tools from the bottom of the screen. And the reason we do that, I'm not sure if this is something that you all have seen, but the number 1 complaint we hear at Hawks from instructors all over the country is that students might be acing their homework or doing generally well and then performing very poorly on quizzes and tests. And they want to know why those grades are not translating. And most online homework systems allow your students to use learning aids on graded assignments. And in and of themselves, those tools are good and they do help your students learn. But if your student isn't careful, they might not even realize how reliant they are on that help until they get to a test or a quiz. It's not there and they go, oh gosh, I can't work this out by myself. So that's why we get them used to it not being here in homework. The other thing is that we make it mastery based. So what that means for us is that by default, we will set a mastery level at about 80%. Like everything else with Hawks, that is customizable. You could raise or lower the mastery level, but we find that if your students get 80% of the homework correct, that's a fairly good indicator that they've mastered the content. So with 15 questions in this lesson as the default and an 80% mastery level, your students can look at the red heart in the corner, which is meant to be like the lives they have left in a video game, see that they can miss 3 questions and still receive a 100 because they have demonstrated mastery of this homework assignment. And then as they work, this meter will fill up towards the gold medal at the end. But say your student misses the 4th question or dips below the mastery level you've set for them. That's where we bring in that adaptive remediation. As soon as they make that 4th mistake here, the software would take them out of certify and put them back into practice where they would receive a custom question set based on what they got wrong in certify. So it's really tailored to each individual student and what they specifically need to work on, which we only think makes sense because every student in your class is probably going to struggle with something a little bit different than the student beside them. And then keep in mind, once they're back in practice mode, they have access to the learning tools again. So if they need the tutor, if they need explain error feedback, they've got it. And then once they feel good about what they got wrong, they can come back and try to certify again. So we do give students unlimited certify attempts up until the due date. The reason we do that is because typically the first time your student is figuring out what they don't know is on a test or a quiz. And at that point, if they don't know something, there's nothing they can do about it. So we think that homework should be that lower stakes learning environment. This is where you want your students making their mistakes and learning from them. So by the time they get to the test, that's not a challenge for them. They've already been there, done that. And with this method, we do see that homework to test scores are correlating much better and most importantly, trending upwards. So I'm sorry for rushing. I know we are right at the end of our time, but we made it through. That is our 3-step learning path. Again, how your students will work through all of our homework assignments. And then I will just switch back to our PowerPoint here and leave, I guess we have 1 minute for questions.
Thank you, Kate. That was really cool. I have 2 quick questions about your online platform.
Sure.
The first one is it phone friendly? Can a student just have an app on an iPad, a tablet, or a phone and be able to complete the assignments?
That's a great question. So we do not have an app that your students can go through. However, we do integrate with all the major LMS systems. So if you guys have like Canvas, Blackboard, Moodle, they could log in through, say, for example, their Canvas app on their phone, and they could, in theory, complete the assignments. It's just probably not as user-friendly as if they were on a laptop or an iPad.
Yeah, I know it's not ideal. I just wanted to see.
Yes, I guess the technical answer is yes, it can be done. However, it's probably not the best experience.
And you don't have any flash issues with the iPad, right? No videos that don't work or stuff like that?
Not that I'm aware of. Joanna, you don't know of anything either, do you?
No, and when Flash was being retired, we went and converted all of our videos, so nothing is Flash reliant. So everything should work on the iPad. We even have a few features that are designed specifically for a positive or a well-balanced experience on the iPad. So in Learn and Practice and Certify, for example, we have paddles on the side that are very easy for students to navigate with just their thumbs if they're holding an iPad. So we did design the courseware with that in mind.
Thanks, Joanna. Good
Awesome.
questions.
And one more quick question. Is there a way for a student to send me a quick email if they get stuck? You mentioned they have the tutor, they can do this. Is there a way for them to just say, send this to my professor because they'll figure it out for me?
Yes, good question. So within the practice mode, so step 2 of 3, at the bottom of the screen, there's a little button that says send to instructor. So that is an optional feature, but as long as you turn it on the instructor side, your students could click that button and it would take a screenshot and send it directly to you for help.
Perfect. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Great questions.
All right, well, we are out of time, so thank you so much, Kate, for all the valuable information you shared with us. If anyone does have any remaining questions, feel free to stop by the Hawks virtual booth to speak with Kate, and she's happy to answer any additional questions you may have. And do make sure to fill out the form that is in the chat to be entered one of 3 $25 Amazon gift cards that we will be giving away today. We'll be reaching out after the conference to provide those prizes. The next session will begin at 3 p.m. You can view the chat for the session meeting room links or access the conference website for a complete list of sessions and their descriptions. While accessing the conference website, don't forget to swing by the virtual booth to say hello to the Hawks team. You can view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. And we'll see you all at your next session.